So as a result of me not addressing that, I had to change my plan. So plan 2 was basically to go to one of the long sides of the table and basically manually set up the whole, the rail and also the router with the router sled, and basically fasten the first piece to the table so that it doesn't move, and then butt the other pieces up to it and try to get them as even as possible to try to get those dados to go across. So you see here I pulled out one of those long DeWalt clamps to try to hold those pieces of wood together on both sides. And then of course, you know, sometimes wood has a tendency when you butt it up to kind of buckle. So I'm going to try to use a clamp, these Festool clamps, to try to hold the wood down, at least the piece that's closest to me. And you'll notice another miscalculation that I did not plan for here in a bit. I don't know, maybe some of you that are watching the video, maybe you already see it, but so I realized that wasn't going to work, and I've decided to square up those pieces against the the shorter bench dog's fence, which means I have to move the other fence that's in place. Now, I probably should have used the knobs underneath the fence to make it more secure, because you can get just a small amount of play without the knobs. But I'm really trying to just muscle through this project, and over time I'll become better at planning and also at execution of what I'm planning. So here I'm using these DeWalt DeWalt rail guide clamps. I tried to put it on the side closest to me. However, with the bench dog's device on there, you can't put it on because of how the device connects to the rail. So I have to actually take it off and put it all the way on the opposite way. And then also too, as you can see here, I'm actually trying to change the rail around. So this is the issue that I was talking about. If you notice, the way I had the router, I was going to have to pull the router towards me as opposed to push the router away from me. And so I tried to switch it around the other way, and it didn't work out. So now here I'm back to putting it back the way that it is. So I'm actually going to have to be on the opposite side of the table to work the router, because that's just how it ends up working out. Now obviously it's an ambidextrous rail. However, remember, the bench dog's rail square only connects to one side of the rail, whichever rail side that you remove the cutting strip. So since I pulled it off on that right side, I can only put the actual rail guide on that side. And no matter how you're facing the work, you're going to always have that problem, because you can say, well, just go on the opposite side. Well, you're still going to have the same problem, just mirrored on the other end. So here I'm trying to line it up and make sure that I have that bit in the center of that dado, and then I clamp it down on the far right end, and I've got the clamps on both sides trying to keep the work relatively connected. Right here, this would be a good time to have one of those 18 or those 36 volt routers that have no cord, but this DeWalt is doing its job. It actually has 3 bases that I purchased for it, and here I'm using the plunge base. And then this kind of worked out conveniently because I just flip it over, because some of these pieces are going to be in the center of the actual cabinet that I'm making. And so I just flip it over and do the dado on the opposite side. And I tried to set the depth for about a quarter of the way through the plywood, because I needed some meat obviously in the middle, and I was going to be taking a quarter of the thickness of the 18 mil off of each side of the center sections. So I decided I'm going to do all of the bottom dados first to try to have some degree of consistency, and then come back and move the rail to do the top dado. And all this could have been avoided if I would have just basically done the dados across the whole sheet of plywood in the very beginning. However, it's debatable on if I would have been able to do that, because I don't have the rail connectors for the DeWalt rail system, and so as a result, and as I said, I'm not going to take off the rubber strip on the non-skid I am not going to remove the non-skid strip off of the 102-inch rail for DeWalt. And off camera, after all of this, I actually did some research, because I was thinking about buying a second one of these DeWalt routers and setting one up with the 1/4 inch bit, or rather the 12 mil, which is closer to 1/2 inch, and then the other one up with the 18 mil, because that's the plywood that I use most often. And it would make it a faster process, because I wouldn't have to actually change bits. I could just move to the different device. Because I was thinking that I might use some 12 mil in this project, but I'm not 100% sure yet. So if I was to go this route and stick with the DeWalt, the other option I'd have is to buy another 59-inch rail with the rail connectors, giving me a total of almost 120 inches to be able to cut a full, or to be able to do a dado on a full 8-foot sheet of plywood, which is not a bad idea. And that is something that, I'm actually considering. However, alternatively, since I already have the 118-inch guide rail for the Makita, and it requires no kind of changing of the rail to use that system with the TSO parallel guide, I was thinking that basically maybe I'll just get a Makita router and use a Makita router with, and I did some research and I found that they actually have one of those connectors for your router that you can use with your track saw rail. So I think I'm going to go that route and go ahead and order the Makita router. I'm going to get the 18 volt, which I know won't be as powerful as the router that I have here, but I figure I'd make the cut in a few passes. But that would give me the ability to A, be cordless, and B, be able to actually do dados using the 55-inch across a piece of 4x8, and then using the 118-inch to go the entire length of a piece of 4x8 plywood. So I'm really excited about that. And these are the things that you learn as you're actually doing projects. You learn how to do things better. And all of these tools, I don't just have them just to have them. It's not for show. It's because in my mind I'm thinking, okay, how do I accomplish this step? How do I accomplish the next step? I guess one of the downfalls is sometimes you'll see parts that are super expensive, and it's like, yeah, I'm not going to pay that. And so you buy like 20 cheaper alternatives, and you don't get what you want to get out of the situation. And so things kind of go south. All right, so I'm gonna wrap this episode of the Daily Shop up here, and I look forward to seeing you guys in my next video if you so choose to join me as we continue this dollhouse build. It has to be done before I go back to the drill press and bandsaw stand, because this is taking up a lot of space in the shop.